Hi everyone, I'm Bruce Schwartz. Thanks a lot for stopping by, for the interest in my research, and especially for connecting. I mean, I've found so many friends around the world. It was my goal at the beginning, and it's very rewarding talking to each and every one of you. What are we looking at? We're looking at structuring, 90-degree angles on the surface, and no jokes. Looks like some kind of a grillage or grill here, bridge like four objects going over top of the structuring. There is a definite veil on the surface, and what the hardest thing to prove to everyone is that I'm not going through the steps of my process. So of course everyone's saying you're just showing us pictures of, pixelation. It's not pixelation, that's for sure. And these objects really are there on the surface, and they're objects that don't look very, very old. Yes, we do see some areas that seem, again, I said seem, to have some greenery over top of it, but it could be glass structures. I have seen a glass-like material structuring on the surface. I believe that's why, the possibility out there of everyone talking about the glass domes. I've seen some myself. The blue objects at the top north side of the moon, very, very far out there, right beyond this point here over top of Tycho. This is the bottom of the moon, actually. The bottom is turned around, and this is the top of the bottom. This is what Earth sees, our side. But of course, when they supposedly go to the moon, which I don't know how they could have, where would they have landed? And how could a human land on a populated alien planet? Or, unless it was a breakaway civilization and that, they know about Earth, or that maybe they have their own airplanes up there. I mean, there's so many possibilities of what we're looking at. Look at the greenery inside Mare Serenitatis. So many possibilities, guys. So many possibilities out there, and it's always going to be speculation, right? Because we're never hearing about it in media, and I don't think we ever will. I believe disclosure, if there ever will be an alien disclosure, it will definitely come from the people, from people like us that do YouTube channels, from people who want to speak out in that are in higher areas, meaning, I don't know, security clearances, etc., top secret clearances. Maybe some of them admit. We've seen some in the past, whistleblowers. John Lear, one of them, still going. You got to appreciate what he's doing. And, Bob Lazar. Along the path, I sort of really appreciated John Lear having met Bob Lazar also. And if you guys don't know about that story, Area 51, and that Bob Lazar, a very young person working at a nuclear physicist, actually, working at Area 51, a genius. The guy's a genius, okay? He has his own company and things going. Bob Lazar, you got to look him up. But look at what he exposed in the 80s. It was absolutely incredible. And that story is still going on today. And what he said is incredible still to this point. Has always kept the same story, hasn't changed it one bit. There's a lot of footage out there about Bob Lazar and how John Lear actually came to meet Bob Lazar. John Lear did try to get in touch with him, I believe, and did. And one night they were even up at Area 51, and Bob Lazar was explaining to him exactly at what times these objects were coming by. This is all documented. So it's not for nothing that I have much respect for John Lear, and especially, I'm doing the same thing, meaning, not the same thing, but I'm trying to, in one certain area that John Lear is working in, I'm interested in. It's the moon and the sky. This guy has every merit for aviation, every license, I believe, and he had at one point, had flown everything, as was flying a bomber. Heard his recent story on Facebook. But make a long story short, these guys have been talking and talking and talking and talking about alien life and secret projects up there, and still a lot of people do not believe it. And why? It makes absolutely no sense. I want to talk about the line of light today, guys. The line of light, and I'm going to show you some really good examples. Mare Crisium on the bottom right here. Proclus crater just underneath with long supposed ray systems. Yeah, the line of light. What is it showing? Mons Argaeus on the top right here coming up. We're seeing structuring or objects. It's showing surface a lot clearer when that moon phase is moving along. If you keep the camera right here in that line of light that we're coming up to right now, meaning the line of light and darkness where they meet, it tends to bend up the craters to magnify everything, or like a fisheye all along the line. You can see these oblique objects or different objects, and it seems to change and manipulate the surface so incredibly. But it's showing us the surface structures. So the structures you want to see follow the line of light. If you're able to get the moon over Copernicus crater, when the line of light is right beside it, you will see all the elevation beside Copernicus crater, as well as every other crater. Look here, Mare Serenitatis to the right, and look at the line of light, what it's showing us. All these, I mean, these are thousands of feet up into the air, right? That we don't usually see. We do not usually see them when that line of light isn't there. On a full moon, you'd think you'd see these objects. In no way do you see these objects. They're very, very, very covered with a white, hazy surface and a very illuminated, bright surface. Here the moon isn't very wide, but again, the line of light is at the end of the crescent moon, and as we're panning upwards, it's very revealing, and it shows us a lot of these elevated structures. Now here I'm going to get a circle up on and show you exactly what I mean by how the line of light is elevating the craters. Do you see here on the page you have at the top elevated objects, and on the bottom they look very flat? In reality, it's just our eyes that are seeing that the bottom structures are flat. This crater is elevated, the rear wall, and is white, and this one is not. Yet they're the same height approximately. And what's happening is that the line of light that you see here, this darkness, as it's moving over and interacting with the light, I believe it's somehow either interfering or interacting with also the veil that's over the surface. I mean, there's clouds and hazes down there. It's very hard to wrap your mind around everything that's going on. And when you get here and you see one of my videos, of course, I don't mention this every single video. And I understand that it's hard for some people to follow the research, and going through the 1,000 videos would take an eternity. It took me 2 years to make these videos. And if I had more time, I could have been able to make 2,000 videos. There's so much for us to see. I'm going back into July footage, the next video, because I have, I think, 6 or 7 hours that I haven't even looked into. I noticed a few possible UFO objects that could have been roaming around in the footage. It seems to me I'm seeing skipping around there, so I want to go back and look through it. A lot of footage that I haven't showed yet of July. So, hey, look at this. Mare Crisium. Again, the line of light is just over the center of Mare Crisium. And now look at all the beautiful, beautiful sky-rising objects, natural or not, on the surface. That line of light is what is giving the elevation to any structure or object on the surface. And unless that line of light is there, you will not see any elevation, near zero elevation. Everything looks flat. Everything looks like, that's also why I thought there was a cloud cover on the surface too, because it's like a saran wrap, right? It's just pulling a white film over everything, and the camera's picking up a flat surface, gray surface. The moon is not gray. It's very, very colorful. I've showed that the surface definitely does have some type of cloud cover. We can see it in the videos that I found these blinking or flashing lights on the surface. The surface is a colorful, very, very colorful surface. We're going to zoom into the crater at the top right there. Mare Crisium on the very left, and you can see in the center the white spotted crater, structures, or natural or not. Again, you just see these objects on the surface. But again, it's the line of light is on the top there, and that's why we're seeing the elevation of the sidewalls of these craters. So any crater you want to see on the surface of the moon, film your telescope where that line of light is. But now here's the thing. I have to continuously adjust the exposure. Exposure is crucial, always, in all photography, whether photography or live filming or footage. The exposure will change completely and entirely what your footage looks like and the way you're going to pick up structures and objects and see color. There is no saturation at all added in these, because that's where I get the pixelated colors that appear, which is still not horrible, but it just interferes with the beautiful surface. So as we're zooming up onto this crater, beautiful, we can see the sidewall, and very slowly we will see the colors appear and the very, very candy-like colorful objects on the surface side by side in unison that are pretty massive. On top of those objects that you see on the side wall of that crater right here, that's where all the smaller structures are, bridges, corridors, and it's always hard to get in. So sometimes, yes, you can get in, like this is a very clear surface, but sometimes the surface is very, very cloudy or hazy. So the reason why sometimes structures appear and seem to vanish on the surface is because of this line of light. Once this line of light moves over, you will not see this elevation at all whatsoever. It will look very, very flat. And it's funny because you see how it has a curb at the edge here, the top edge. There is no edge there, obviously, and it's not at all the edge of the moon.